Time now to pause for the play that stops inanity and watch mortal clay craft thoughts. Lee Canady. How's every little ting?
Every little thing.
Every little ting.
Thing.
Every little ting's all right.
Every little thing is all right, yes.
Better off than a radio disc jockey, Lee would not just receive ordinary mass-printed promotional copies of albums. Mr. Lee Canady still has a few liner notes handwritten by the artist, audio cassette tapes of albums that were new at the time. Please tell us about these tapes, and may we see some?
Yes. Back in the day, artists has no way of getting his voice out there to the community. They had parties. They would go to a rental hall, music hall, I forget what it was called, and they entertain places like that. When I opened my store, I had in-store play. I always did from day one. I had a speaker outside, and I played music inside. When people come to buy the music, I would always play it for them because I would always play something else. I'm trying to sell them.
Yeah.
When they ask for one thing, I want to sell them more of that. You see,
Yeah.
So I would play it for them. I started in-store play. When people do a demo or something, they would come to my store and they want me to listen to it, and they give them to me. Professional people who had recordings, said Barry Gordy, anybody else who recording records, all the record companies would send DJs out through mail to me. I have someone to hand deliver them to. They called demos. I would play them, and that's how we got the record started. And then I made the list, top 10, put it on the wall. I sold from that list. When we started advertising on the radio, in fact, Miss Keekwell, she sponsored the jazz show on Sunday at WCHB. Before then, it was only the jazz show, I think. It was only Music for Sundown by Larry Dixon. His theme song was by Sam the Man Taylor. When I came in and here, first thing I heard, Sam the Man, I had never heard of, I don't think I had heard of him, but he was playing his sax, and I liked him. I used to like Earl Bostic when I lived in Arkansas. I started liking him. I had just about everything he did. I had a lot of records I put it by Earl Bostic. When Paul Humphrey is one, I got some thing about what he did. He sent me when he went with Gene Harris. I don't know if it was ever recorded or not, but anyway, I got cassettes that he would send me to listen to sometimes. This is where it come out on the album. I would have it before someone else be having it. I would play it, and I still got some of those things over there. VCR, when they came out, Chaka Khan, she came out with I'm Every Woman, Ashford and Simpson, I forget, I don't recall the name of the tune, but the record company, they printed up VCR tape, came to my store and put a VCR in it. It was large at that time, and big screen on the wall, the VCR, and I would play it, and people would see them. That's how I got the record going, I'm Every Woman by Chaka Khan. She had on the red dress, going around in a circle. There's a lot of people I got like that, had like that, only on VCR, and I only one had that.
Do you have any you can show us? Now that you have those in your hands, or you can repeat yourself if you want, it's up to you.
Well, I'm just saying that he would send me things, and his one here, he said, made for Lee. He called me Candyman, C-A-N-D-Y.
Because your name's Canady, so Candy took out the second name.
Yeah, Candyman. He always said Candyman, Paul Humphrey. He's deceased now.
You had a special friendship with him.
We was like brothers, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we were like brothers. He came in town. In fact, when I first met him, I was standing outside the store, and the station wagon pulled up right in front of in the bus stop parking. West Montgomery, then Paul, he was driving. He gets out. He came up. I didn't know him, but I had heard about him through a friend of mine. They went to school together. He went into the Navy and came out of the Navy, and he played, I think he lived in New York, and he started playing with everybody. But Paul Humphrey was the first black that was a member of the Long Swamp Band. And when he would come in town, they lived down here in this area where I'm living there. It was called Black Bottom. I used to come to his house all the time. His father bought an organ because he wanted to play. We became like brothers. He always stayed in touch with me. He came and stayed with me for a while, too, once. We were like family. When his mother passed, I lived in his house. He had a house on Burn Street. I lived in his house. We was real tight. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Are you holding something from Paul Humphreys in your hand right now?
Yes, this is tape. He made it says copy for Lee Candyman, Kool-Aid. That was a big record. He sold it to, I think, overseas or something like that. It's real big over there. Everything he did over there, he sold his whole catalog. But he was the first black, and this is what I would play outside, and this is how we get records started. When people have a record out, they give me a tape and beg me to play it.
Wow.
And you play it, listen to it, buy it, and sell it. That's the way they promoted themselves. CHB, of course, they could only play so many records anyway. So
WCHB, the Detroit radio station.
The signal wasn't strong enough to go any place. If you come on the east side, certain place on the east side, you lose the signal. If you go to Toledo, before you get to Toledo, you lose the signal. You can't get records sold that way. You got to do more than that. You have to go to CKLW at that time. They wasn't on the playlist. They didn't hardly play that many black records anyway. They play like Nat King Cole, Sammy Davis Jr., like pop, not the funky rock and roll we was playing, because they wasn't playing it any place at the time. When we got the list started by selling records, we started asking for it, and we sponsored WCHB, the jazz show. LeBaron Taylor was the disc jockey. I had connection that way. I guess all played a hand in what happened, caused me to go where I did. Couldn't do it by yourself. Other people, you got to gel with people. Everybody don't gel together anyway. You see. LeBaron Taylor, when he came into the city, I remember when he came in, I saw him down on Woodward at the wholesale place. We introduced ourselves, but he got real big, and we sponsored the show on a Sunday. People would come in there and they would identify with us. They identify with each other. They bought records there, and we built our business that way. Paul Humphrey was the first black, I said, that played with Lance Wells. His daughter, Pierre, she danced on a New Year's, I think it was New Year's night program. First black to do that.
Wow.
And he played with Lance Wells for some time. They had a cookbook. His mother had a recipe. Everybody in the band had a recipe in the book. I had it. I let someone use it and never got it back.
Typical.
Yeah, I never got it back every time. Now he's deceased. We were like brothers. Brought Wes Montgomery down, and he played with Les McCann, played with Lou Rawls. He played with some of everybody.
Wow.
And he would come in town, would be with those people. When he come in town, we always hung out together. I remember one night he was playing at the Pine Knob with Sammy Davis Jr. That night, late, doorbell rang, and Paul Humphrey. He came from Pine Knob to my house to see me. And in fact, there's a picture of him someplace around here with at my house. I think it's on the collage. Really.
That fateful collage.
Yeah, he's sitting at my, I think he had his tuxedos on, because he was playing with Sammy Davis Jr. at the time. Things have changed so much from then, because when an artist would come in town, he'd bring his group with him, his quintet or quartet, whatever he got. Now they come in town and he pick up a trumpet player, maybe a bass player. Some do and some don't. A lot of times they do that. But when Paul got with Lou Rawls, he stayed with Lou Rawls for a long time. That made us closer too, with Lou and Les McCann, Lou Rawls, Paul Humphrey. We were very close.
Paul Humphrey, Lester McCann, Lou Rawls.
Les McCann.
Paul Humphrey, Les McCann, Lou Rawls, and you, 4 peas in a pod.
Right. We always hung together when we like knit. There's others too. Freddie Hubbard was another. They would come for dinner. Well, come over and eat. It was dinner. Well, here down south we call supper, but they would come in the afternoon. We had dinner and stuff like that. I hang out at the hotel with Freddie Hubbard. He would come at the punch train and play there, but he died early too. I saw.
I'm sorry.